The 1540 heavy duty diesel and marine engine oil. This is the CI4 Plus oil. That's our, let's call it our flagship diesel oil right now. That is the one that we would sell the most of. Now that oil is recommended in the proper applications for CI4 Plus oil for 1 year or 3 times the normal drain interval, not to exceed 50,000 miles. So 3 times the normal drain interval. What is the normal drain interval? Most of these diesels, it's about 7,500 miles. So if you look at that coming from the factory, 3 times that, it's going to be about 22,000 miles, or 1 year. Now the reason they said not to exceed 50,000 miles, believe it or not, you could buy a new Dodge that might say it's got a 15,000 mile drain interval for light duty, not severe. So then 3 times that would be 45,000 miles, or 1 year, whichever came first. But my experience has been, and you guys have to do it the best you think, but I treat diesels as just severe duty. I rarely talk about a diesel and say we're just going to talk about you being in a light duty application. So I typically say, you know, the severe duty on this is about 15,000 miles, and that's probably good. If you're doing a lot of highway driving and so forth, stretch it on out to, you know, 20 to 25,000, but keep the 1 year drain interval. And then we have to make sure we have the right filter hooked up.
What do you kick recommend, like the Mercedes cars? They won't drive those hard at all.
No, a Mercedes, I would stick with the 25,000 miles or 1 year. See, that it's still, you could say 3 times normal, but Mercedes doesn't tell you what normal is. They tell you to wait a lot of times until the dash light comes on. And you don't know whether that's going to come on. That's going to come on at 10,000 or 7,000 or 12, so you can't say 3 times that.
30,000, we can go to 90.
So yeah. So I just back up and for those normally and say, well, it should be good for about 25,000 miles or 1 year.
So those lighter duty kind of.
Yeah, light duty like that. They're like, call them the gasoline equivalent of the decent world, 25,000 miles or 1 year in the CI4 Plus oils. Now, CJ4 for foreign cars, we don't know yet because believe it or not, there aren't any of those that have showed up yet with catalytic converters or diesel particulate filters. So we're going to have to see how that crosses because they're going to have to do it, I guess, but it hasn't been mandated on those for imports yet, so we'll see.
On the recommendation that go to CI4.
Yeah, CI4 Plus, unless they tell you that they got a catalytic converter and a diesel particulate filter, which none that I know of do. And there's some differences in that. Volkswagen, I asked the question up there why the Volkswagen TDI doesn't require CJ4 oil and why it doesn't have a diesel particulate filter, and the reason is because the exhaust on it is so close that it gets hot enough in the exhaust to naturally burn out all of the carbon. It's gone. Now in a truck, here you stretch this thing way back, right? It doesn't do it. The temperature's not the same. But in that TDI, they're saying that the manifold, the exhaust manifold, is so close in that by the time they can get the exhaust out, it's hot enough it burns its own ash away. So sounds to me like it's trying to burn itself up. Must be pretty hot.
So the 1540, even though it's engineered for pre-2007, could be used in all the newer light-duty diesels also.
Again, you want to check what the manufacturer says for them. Now, if you use the other oil for those, remember that oil is good for 15,000 miles or 1 year in all those light-duty diesels. That even the CJ4 stuff, it's not restricted. You can use the CJ4 stuff, backfit it into your diesel, and just use the rule of thumb that it's good for 15,000 miles or 1 year. Okay.
That's rule of thumb, basically.
Yeah.
CJ4 or the CI4, but now which one would you go with on the light duty? Just rule of thumb, well, the first one in your pocket.
I would stick with the CI4 Plus.
Okay.
It's just a stronger oil. And those light duty, it wouldn't make much difference, but it is slightly cheaper than the CJ4. So, if for no other reason than to save a buck, you know. Now, the European auto oils are also for diesel rated certain light duty diesel cars like Mercedes and Volkswagen and ones that those also are rated for that. But if you talk to European mechanics, European specialized mechanics, they more or less tell you that they like our more robust oils in all of those cars, that they can get away with it because the oil's a little bit different to meet the Volkswagen spec. It's a little bit lighter duty oil for the Volkswagen spec, So my European Auto guys were using our 5W30 ASL over the European Auto oil because they wanted a 30 weight oil. So now I found out AMSOIL's coming out with a 5W30 European Auto oil. Should be out probably this month. Another new oil, another new 5W30. And then my European mechanics bought 4 cases of 0W20 because they said the new Mercedes calls for a 0W20. And they don't want the thicker oil. And the BMWs, they were having trouble with the 40 weight oil. They had some particular device in there, I don't know what it was, but the 40 weight oil was actually retarding it, some kind of device, and they needed to use 30 weight oil. So they're happy that we're coming out with a 30 weight oil. All right, so this oil, still big seller, big fleet seller. It's going to be around for a long time. AMSOIL intends to keep making it as long as there's a demand for that CI4 Plus oil, and there will be a demand for it because the people that have equipment that they make a living with, they continue to use that oil.